Hi, everyone. Now that we understand that all life is made of cells, we can ask a new question. Are all cells organized the same way? The answer is no. Over billions of years, life evolved two major cellular designs, prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. As you look at the image on this slide, notice the dramatic difference between them. The prokaryotic cell on the left is smaller and simpler internally. Its DNA is not enclosed inside a nucleus, and it does not have the same kind of membrane-bound compartments. The eukaryotic cell on the right is larger and more internally organized. It contains a nucleus and several specialized structures called organelles, including mitochondria and endoplasmic reticulum, and the Golgi apparatus. But simple does not mean primitive or unsuccessful. Prokaryotes are incredibly successful forms of life. They are everywhere, and they carry out many of the most important chemical processes on Earth. So the big idea here is this. All cells share some basic features, but prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells organize those features in very different ways. By the end of this module, you should be able to explain how prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells differ in organization and complexity. All life is cellular, but cells vary enormously in size, structure, and complexity. Some organisms consist of only a single microscopic cell, while others, like plants, animals, and fungi, are made of trillions of cells working together in highly organized systems. As you look at the two cells shown on this slide, focus on their internal organization. The prokaryotic cell has a simpler internal structure, while the eukaryotic cell contains many specialized internal compartments. Despite the enormous diversity found among living organisms, most cells fall into one of two major cellular designs, prokaryotes and eukaryotes. This distinction is one of the most important organizational patterns in biology because the structure of a cell strongly influences what that cell can do. Even though cells can look very different, all cells share several core features. As shown on this slide, both prokaryotes and eukaryotes contain a plasma membrane, which separates the inside of the cell from the outside environment. All cells also contain cytoplasm, the internal fluid environment where many chemical reactions take place. Every cell stores genetic information as DNA, and every cell contains ribosomes, the structures responsible for building proteins. These shared features are important because they remind us that all life, from bacteria to humans, is connected by the same fundamental biological principles. As you look at the prokaryotic cell on this slide, notice its relatively simple internal organization. Prokaryotic cells do not contain a nucleus. Instead, their DNA is found in a concentrated region called the nucleoid. They also lack membrane-bound organelles, meaning they do not have structures like mitochondria or the Golgi apparatus. Most prokaryotic cells are relatively small, and that small size helps materials move efficiently through the cell. This group includes the domains bacteria and archaea, organisms that dominate many ecosystems on Earth. And while prokaryotes are structurally simpler than eukaryotic cells, they are incredibly successful and metabolically diverse forms of life. The image on this slide shows a split cell. The prokaryotic side is on the right, and the eukaryotic side is on the left. On the prokaryotic side, notice that the cell does not contain a nucleus. Its DNA is located in that nucleoid region, and the cell lacks membrane organelles. But on the eukaryotic side, notice the membrane-bound nucleus and the many internal compartments. These organelles divide cellular work into specialized spaces. So, the key contrast is organization. Prokaryotic cells are smaller and simpler internally, while eukaryotic cells are larger and more compartmentalized. As you look at the plant cell on this slide, notice the large number of internal structures packed inside the cell. This highlights one of the biggest advantages of eukaryotic cells, that compartmentalization. Instead of having all cellular reactions occur in the same space, eukaryotic cells separate different processes into specialized organelles. You can think of these organelles almost like different rooms in a building, with each one designed to carry out a specific task. This organization allows cells to work more efficiently, maintain better internal control, and support much larger and more complex cell structures. Compartmentalization is one of the major reasons eukaryotic organisms, including plants, animals, and fungi, can achieve such high levels of biological complexity. This table summarizes the major differences between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. As you look across the chart, notice the consistent pattern. Prokaryotes are generally smaller and simpler internally, uh, while eukaryotes are larger and more compartmentalized. Neither design is better. Instead, these are two different evolutionary solutions to the challenges of life. Both cellular strategies have been enormously successful across Earth's ecosystems. Um, this final slide highlights one of the central ideas in microbiology. Structure determines function. The organization of a cell influences how it acquires nutrients, how it reproduces, how it interacts with the environment, and even how it responds to antibiotics. Understanding cellular structure helps explain why microbes behave differently from one another. In the next lecture, we'll zoom in on one structure shared by all cells, the plasma membrane, the boundary that separates life from the outside world. Thanks for watching this lecture, and see you at the next one.